On today's show, 3 questions. Number 1, where the heck is Robbie? Number 2, are Americans actually living paycheck to paycheck? And number 3, is your HSA okay? Welcome to Dentist Money's 2 cents, where we help dentists navigate all the noise. I'm Matt.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm Jake.
We didn't even talk about that before. And
I was going to go and then Victoria went, but that's great. Yeah,
Well,
she was so fast.
Yeah, I loved it.
It was perfect. It was
Should I have
perfect.
gone last?
No, this was great. I
Yeah.
just love that we didn't even talk about that because Robbie's not here. He always goes last, but he's not here. And so we just did it. It was just like, it just flowed so naturally.
I guess
love
ladies first.
Welcome, guys. First question is, where's Robbie? Where the heck is Robbie?
Do we even
know where Robbie
share?
is? I don't even know.
I do not.
He's somewhere across the pond, as they say.
Yeah. I know that he was, I think every time he's referred to it, he's called it like his Greece trip, but I know that that's not the only destination on his itinerary.
Oh, was it not? Okay. Well, either way, we wanted to emphasize that we believe in people taking breaks from work and going and traveling the world and enjoying themselves. And so we allowed Robbie to do this for a little bit. He's actually gone. He's been gone for quite a while. I think he was doing a 2-week.
It's a 3-weeker.
3-week trip.
Yeah.
If there's been any signal of a recession, it's this. It's that Robbie's not here. Yeah.
No hope for our portfolios.
No hope for our portfolios, for the markets. Like things are going to fall apart. So I'm actually feeling rather self-conscious and nervous here because we had a decision here to make. We could have just left it and said, well, Robbie's not here. We're not going to do an economics market anything update. And then I said, nay, I shall take this on. I shall take this on and do my best impersonation of Robbie. So just buckle up, people.
Stoked to hear it. I'm excited.
Stoked to hear it. So there's so much here. We're going to just hit this really, just a summary. But I've seen so many headlines the last week or so around, is this a signal of a recession? This indicator is a recession. This is like, we basically bounce back and forth on this, or we're on maybe this teeter-totter of inflation, recession, like all the headlines are about this. But here's what I was like, man, what was this indicator? What is everyone talking about of this recession? You guys want to know what it is? Here's the big indicator. Do tell. Unemployment went from 4% to 4.1%.
Shocking.
No way.
People are freaking out.
The world is over.
People are freaking out. No, they're not really freaking out. But what this did, what a lot of these articles and headlines were talking about as you go deeper, and this is what I wanted to talk about today. First thing I'll say is this rate, the unemployment rate has increased for 14 months straight, based steadily, from the 54-year low of 3.4%, which was April of 2023. So I think because of the steadiness of the increase, that alone is kind of creating some issues. Generally speaking, a consistent rise in unemployment after a cyclical low tends to oftentimes can trigger a recession, or is a sign of a recession. So I thought this would be I guess I'll stop here for a second, just get you guys' general thoughts on this initial indicator and all the headlines. Any initial thoughts?
My first is no. Maybe that's bad podcasting. Aren't we still?
Nick always says that. I have no thoughts. It's not really good for a podcast.
Aren't we still at 4.1%? Is still got to be close to low since 1970. We're still probably maybe not a 54-year low, but a 30 to 40-year low still in unemployment.
Yeah, definitely. And all economists agree, you need to have some level of unemployment, and we are still very much in a very healthy range. I'm going to hit here in a second what the increase and the trend is what people are more focused on.
Yeah.
Well, that was my question when you were saying, after a low and then it continues to grow, at what rate?
Yes.
Or, would it actually trigger a recession?
Have you been reading my notes? No, you haven't.
Never.
That was
read my notes ahead
That was
of
a
time.
great question.
Steal from the study buddy.
So let's back up a little bit and first hit a reminder of what is a recession. So I think this is always important because I actually got an email one time. It wasn't an angry email, but it certainly was an email of someone saying you're wrong about this after something I wrote maybe, or maybe a podcast. So this is a good opportunity to or to remind people of what this is. So
I appreciate this because I feel like it's a big, scary word and it's thrown around, and it just kind of instills fear in folks, and people don't really know what it is. So
totally.
Let's level set.
Let's level set. Let's say there's two. So there's the commonly known definition that the media uses. Do you guys know the commonly used definition that is out there? I think if you ask most people, if either they'd say I don't know, or they'd use this, which is 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. Basically just saying GDP, which is what we tend to use as an indicator of growth in the economy, when that goes negative for 2 consecutive quarters, we're in a recession. That's actually not the true definition of a recession. So there's a group in the government from the National Bureau of Economic Research. The actual name of this committee is called the Business Cycle Dating Committee. Dating as in dating, I think, economic indicators, not necessarily dating each other. Okay, that's the name. That's the name. Yeah, they're just the business cycle. They're dating each other. It's like a very niche Tinder profile.
They all just went to like Wharton and all these top business schools. Just date each
They're on a special dating app. No, that is the name. So the Business Cycle Dating Committee. It's so weird now that I say that back. But they are technically responsible for declaring, like by the government, declaring when we are entering or exiting a recession. Okay, so the National Bureau of Economic Research, and this is how they define it: a significant decline in economic activity that is spread across the country and lasts more than a few months. So this is
more than a few months. That's there.
Here's what's so interesting when you see these themes across. When I read this, I was like, the government loves to do this. And I think there's a reason for it. So I'm going to give you another example of of how the government does this. And when I say does this, I mean keep things very vague. So when it comes to, bear with me for 1 second. When we talk about like a dentist setting a income limit or income when they're an S corp, right? They need to have like a set income for a dentist. The IRS defines that as a reasonable income. That's all they say.
Yeah.
They keep it very vague. And I think what they're doing, the IRS does this, the National Bureau of Economic Research does this, the government constantly does this. They're not going to give you like a very specific, like they're going to keep it as vague as possible, I think, to give themselves some wiggle room. Because they're just saying like a significant decline in economic activity spread across the country to last more than a few months. It's just like,
is the government kind of like a non-committal situationship? They just keep kind of...
I just think it's. I think
keep it vague. They won't have the DTR conversation.
Yeah, they're just like, we're not going to do this. No, it actually does make sense because there's so much pressure from the media, from people. I think they have to leave some wiggle room to be like, they're basically. I think when they do stuff like this, it's kind of indicating we actually don't know. Like we can't get too specific. However, they do define economic activity, like that actual, like what they're actually looking at. So they're looking at a few things: real retail sales, wholesale sales, industrial production, real personal income apart from transfers, real consumer spending and employment, as measured both by household and payroll. So these are what they call leading indicators of with this quote unquote economic activity that they're tracking. So a lot of people look at this, what we'll call an index of leading economic indicators, and they'll say when there's a decline in this for a period of time, we are going to slip into a recession, right? Here's the issue. This index has fallen steadily. All this economic activity has fallen steadily since December of 2021. No recession.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, it's not been linear, but it's been steadily declining since December of 2021. No recession.
They haven't said
No. So I don't know what they're necessarily, they're just saying a significant decline. They're not giving actual numbers. There's been a steady decline since December of 2021 in a lot of these indicators. No recession.
Yeah.
Another rule here is the inverted yield curve. We've talked about this before. There's a yield curve. We're looking at rates from the 3-month all the way out to the 30-year government bonds, right? And when the 3-month, when the short end of the yield curve, those rates are higher than the long end of the yield curve, it's called inverted.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a very commonly used recession indicator. We've been in a yield curve for how long? 20 straight months.
Oh my gosh.
No recession. So
You guys,
yeah, go ahead.
I really got to give it to her. I think the Eras tour saved us all.
Here it goes.
I can't help it. I'm here to just provide the facts.
Okay.
Just, can we imagine, like, if that didn't happen? I think she's so, like, single-handedly, like, all the signs were pointing towards recession. And guess what? Taylor Swift saves the day.
You know what's interesting is we're talking about how the index, the inverted yield curve has been for 20 straight months. We've also gone, I think, 24 straight months talking about Taylor Swift, possibly.
Yeah.
You know what? It's so funny though. Like, we're joking, kind of. Maybe, I don't know if Victoria's joking. She's not. I'm taking it as a joke.
Victoria's like, absolutely not.
I'm not. Like, we talk, like, about people spending and we even talked about this right before, Jake. You know, people
Jake's
spending
talk about this.
exorbitant. Right. And, like, the average like expense that people will pay is like $1,300 for a Taylor Swift concert. So I'm sorry, when the dots are dotting,
just dot them. Sorry, Jake, what were you going to say?
No, I that's what I'm saying is I think a lot of this, there's like traditional economic indicators would say, yeah, we're maybe headed for recession. But it's the U.S. consumer has just been so darn stubborn in their spending that I think it's keeping us afloat, where because people aren't losing jobs, we're still at around a 4% unemployment rate. People still have paychecks coming in biweekly, and they are still taking those paychecks and going on vacations and going to Taylor Swift and still spending. And it's hard for unemployment to go up when people are spending money to keep businesses alive, right? Yep. There has to be a break somewhere. And so I think that's honestly, if we just want to get really simple and really broad about why aren't we entering more of a recession, I'd just probably say because we're spending all of our money still.
Yep.
Well, and beyond, in all seriousness, beyond Taylor Swift, I think because we were so shut down for so long, people were so excited to get out there and go to things like concerts and travel and just be out in the world again. So, you know, there's the silver lining of COVID, I suppose.
So do we still think, honestly, we still think there's like remnants of people feeling pent up from COVID? Like, is that still, I mean, that's still a thing?
I feel like,
I don't even think about 100%. COVID at all anymore.
Neither do I. Yeah, I can't. People keep saying that it's like pent up demand from COVID. I don't feel that in my life. I don't think, where I just feel like we're back to normal. But maybe that still is the thing.
I think it kicked off new spending habits.
That's what I was. That's
like. I don't think it's so much that I mean, it's just kind of crazy. In a few months, it'll have been 5 years ago. Isn't that wild?
It's kind of wild.
Like 5 years ago. Like, that seems so crazy to me.
Yeah.
But no, I think because it was on lockdown for so long, and then we all wanted to go out and do things. And then honestly, like, because of the Eras tour, all these other concerts, I'm serious, concert going became more of a thing.
That is actually real.
It is true. Like,
that is real.
Like, concert attendance has skyrocketed. More people are going on tours. There's a lot more new music released because of platforms like TikTok. And so people want to go out and they want to spend their money. And so I think we all just saved ourselves from a big whole recession. Thank you, Taylor Swift.
No, I know you're half joking, but you're also, or we're half joking, you're not joking.
I'm a
but
million
what you just said,
serious.
I think, is spot on, Victoria, in that I don't think it's pent up demand anymore, but I think I truly do think COVID shifted the psyche of people.
Yeah, we want experiences.
Work, how we approach spending, how we approach experiences. I think you're totally right that I don't think it's pent up. I just think it's shifted how we approach life.
Yep.
This is a perfect segue to my topic. Can we just get into it? This is exactly what I wanted to do. This is amazing that
let's do that. But I wanted to say one thing.
Yes.
I wanted to close out my segment. There was one other thing I wanted to hit, but we'll just move on. It was another like sign or indicator people are looking at. Basically, what I was saying earlier, the unemployment rate goes from 4% to 4.1. People are looking at the drastic increase, drastic in quotations, because it is less than 1%, but because of the steady increase, that tends to be a sign of recession, along with the inverted yield curve and all these other things. But to your point, Jake, and what you're going to hit right now, we're just not slipping into a recession. And it made me think of a quote that I love from Lawrence Peter. He's I think former USC economics professor, written some books, but he says, and I love this because he's an economist himself, he says, an economist is an expert who will know tomorrow why the things he predicted yesterday didn't happen today. And I love that quote so much. And it just is like, we're all out here guessing, and we're all out here playing different games, and we're all like telling people what they should be doing. It's like we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But we like to pretend, because I think humans hate uncertainty more than anything. So we want to apply meaning to all these different things. But the bottom line is we don't know. But what we do know for right now is we are not anywhere close to a recession, because, Jake, what you're going to talk about, spending. We just keep doing it. So with that said, let's jump to you.
Perfect. Yeah, you guys actually summed it up pretty well. As I do think COVID has changed our spending habits. One stat I will give to support that claim is this from the Seattle Times. It was from a tweet from Kyla Scanlon. Anyway, 82% of Americans in 2024 are heading on a vacation this summer. 82%.
That's wild.
Are we all part of that?
That is 4 out of your 5 friends.
I've already been on a vacation.
I am going on one in a month. I am traveling to Europe in a month. I am part of this statistic here.
You're doing like a big vacation.
How long are you going for?
We are going to do Switzerland for 10 days.
Wow.
Stop. That's amazing.
Hopefully you get that PTO approved. I know a guy.
I'm pending for the approval there. Yeah, hopefully it gets done.
Is it still pending? I'm the worst.
No, it is not. Okay. I think it's been approved. You're good. But yeah, I'm part of the statistic. I mean, 4 and 5 people, anecdotally, that feels right. It feels like everyone you talk to nowadays, like, what vacations are you on? What trips are you going on? Similar to that statistic, 42% of people are going on multiple trips this summer. So almost half of all Americans are going on multiple trips. And I was just thinking the other day, this feels like the new norm, right? Like, if we just rewind 20, 30 years ago, this is like old person's corner, but it just felt like we didn't go on as many vacations in the past as we do now.
The type of vacations, what we considered vacations, were completely different.
Yes,
camping 20 years ago was a vacation, was a trip.
Yeah, we can go Friday, Saturday camping trip. That was a vacation.
Yeah, now if you're not going to Hawaii every year, Victoria, if you're not going to Hawaii.
Wait, I'm going to Hawaii for the first time in my life.
Okay.
In 2 weeks.
Sorry to call out there. We'll call out.
And this isn't bad, right? Yeah.
Fake news.
I don't think I'm shaming anyone for going on vacation. Again,
No.
I'm going on that. This is great. I think it's a great way to spend your money, to have memories with family and things. But I do think we've had a shift here, and I don't know the exact time frame, recent years, whatever. But I think most people just go on vacation now. That's almost like an expected expense as part of our yearly budget, right? What is our 2 to 3 vacations we're going on per year, which I think is different in the past. And so you'll hear a lot of buzz online about, man, I'm making this X amount of money, but I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, type of thing. That's a very common. People say I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and that makes me feel stressed. I feel like my budget is tight, and I will blame inflation or the economy for this, right? Ben Carlson had an awesome tweet, which sums up, I think, what I want to say, which he says, after my mortgage payment, my 401k contributions, my 529 contributions, my IRA contributions, my annual 6-week vacation to Europe, private school for the kids, second home in the Hamptons, and other angel investments, I'm basically living paycheck to paycheck. This economy sucks, right? I think that's like exaggerating, but when talking to people just anecdotally, I feel like this is the case where people are like, man, can you imagine how expensive things are getting, or my groceries or my trips and things? And meanwhile, they are buying $1,000 tickets to Taylor Swift, or they're going on a 6-week European vacation. They are maxing out their 401k. Like, they are doing all of these things, like living a pretty great life by objective standards, yet complaining that there's not a ton. Like, I feel like the budget is tight. And I think that just goes to, we've talked about this on the podcast, are just expectations of what a normal life, I think, has risen, right?
I have so many thoughts on this, but Victoria, ladies first.
I am just kind of, I don't know, maybe this is mean of me, but I'm kind of sick of people clocking into like the hater headquarters about the economy. You know what I mean? It's just like, in this economy, this sucks. Inflation
in this
sucks.
economy. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear that all the time. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we're all doing really well. And like, even some of my friends, who did go to Taylor Swift, and were able to, or are doing really amazing things, just will complain about the economy and whatnot. And like perpetuate this narrative that they're getting from the hater headquarters. And I'm kind of over it. They don't really, like, a lot of people don't even really know what that means. And and I don't understand why I have a bad attitude about it. That brings nothing to your life.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it's like this thing that the narrative starts to grow. I think it starts either with the media, social media, whatever.
Yeah.
This narrative, we've talked about this so many times. Why is the narrative so disjointed from reality?
Right.
I think there's 2 main kind of like long-standing principles here that we're dealing with. Number one, nerd alert, compounding. And the idea of compounding, I'm such a nerd. I'm trying to do my best Robbie impression. Okay, guys, I'm not doing a great job. I'm like the Walmart version of Robbie. The what do you call it? The Kroger version of Robbie.
The great value Robbie.
I'm like the great value Robbie. I'm like super. I'm like the cheap one. Anyway, he's the brand name. I'm the
Kroger.
I'm the Kroger version. Anyway, so compounding. We often think of compounding in the sense of investment returns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of compounding just being like it often happens too slow to even notice, and then before you know it, it's like holy cow, it takes forever. But I think it's the same thing in all of life. So right now, you think of the quality of life over the last 50 years, the increases in quality of life is unbelievable. And we could spend 5 hours talking about all of by every objective measure, life is better today than it's ever been.
Yeah.
So just speaking of travel really quick, there's a statistic since 1970, the real cost of plane travel, net of inflation, has been cut in half.
Ooh,
it has like never been cheaper to fly, which is again why people are traveling more.
Yes.
But I think it's happened too slow to notice. And for better or for worse, humans adapt to their surroundings. And so this is why I think you hear the older generations looking down on the younger generation saying, you idiots have no idea. Because, but the younger generation is saying, I don't care what you lived like I still have problems. They're just not noticing it because, again, it's happened so slowly that they haven't even noticed. I think the other thing here is what you're talking about, Jake, is our expectations are insane. The expectations have outpaced growth, and it's just insane. It's like the what we expect to be a good life nowadays, like people 50 years ago would be like, are you literally insane that you think this is not good?
Right.
It's just unbelievable what our expectations are nowadays.
Yep, things are expensive, but we just keep paying for those expensive things, which then shows that we're actually in a pretty good spot. I want to give one example. My friend will not mind me saying this. I was talking to him the other day. He's a big tennis fan.
Friend.
My friend. Josh, if you're listening, this is about you again. He would be absolutely fine with me sharing
Fan
this.
of the show. Hey, Josh.
He loves tennis. Every year goes to the U.S. Open in New York. That happens over Labor Day weekend, and he goes and watches the U.S. Open tennis. And he noted that 3 years ago, he could buy his tickets for like $80, and now those same tickets are $300. And he just thinks that's ridiculous, right? Where there's a lot of people like, just the things I was buying a couple years ago are now so much more expensive. And we were talking, and he was complaining. He's like, this is so dumb. How are people doing this? And how we ended our conversation was, I'm like, well, you're getting your tickets? And he says, what? Yes, I'm still going to pay it. And so I think that's the general sentiment is everything is going up in price. Vacations are more expensive. Hotels are expensive. Groceries, gas, whatever you want to talk about. But we're still buying all of our stuff, right? We are still just doing it. So it's like we're complaining about it, but our actions really aren't changing, which is why things are being upheld. And it goes back to our expectations where people are like, well, I deserve to go to the U.S. Open. I deserve to go to a Taylor Swift concert. I deserve to go on this trip to vacation because everyone else is doing it. So I should be doing this too. So yeah, it's just one of those things where people are like, well, I'm paycheck to paycheck. Well, it's like, 80% of Americans are living airport to airport. That's how bad our economy is, type of thing now. Like that is it's just an interesting dynamic where I feel like a lot of people have negative feelings about the economy, yet most people are doing pretty dang well.
Oh yeah. Are we just being curmudgeon old people?
Maybe we are. And I know I bring this up all the time.
How dare you people?
Yeah. No, I think it's the opposite. I would want to do this as like a positive point of view that the economy is actually in a pretty good spot. And I'm happy that people are going on vacations and doing these things.
We are so happy for that.
I think let's be real and maybe not like if you can afford to do these things, let's maybe not complain about why the economy is in the crapper because it kind of isn't.
I will say this. I think it's just not like, I love that you said this, Victoria, checking into the hater headquarters. I just think oftentimes it's just not a good look. Like optically, it's kind of like, when that's where I think people, I know I get frustrated when I'm not going to call anyone out in my life because I don't think anyone in my life listens to this show, but maybe they do. Family members, friends, like it's just not a good look. When I can observe your life and I know how like objectively well you're doing, especially comparatively, and maybe our line of work, we are able to see like the actual data and numbers. And it's just not a good look when I'm like, I see what you're doing. I see like the amount of money you're paying for your kids and the travel. And and you have a great life. Just acknowledge it. It's just not a good look when you're doing that, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like how do people do this? It's like, it's just, I'm like, I don't know what else to say to that. Like, it's really hard to even like relate to that kind of mindset.
Yeah, but when everybody else is kind of in the same mindset, then they don't want to seem like the odd person out. If they're like, actually, guys, it's kind of great, you know?
Yeah.
So we're giving you permission. Start a trend. Be
We do
happy
bond-
about
As
where
humans,
things
we
are
bond
at.
over complaining. I think that is a natural human. It's
We
just
bond
like
over pessimism.
Yeah. Oh, this too. This is like, man, you know, it's like, you know, workplace drama, or, you know, things like, it's like you complain about your work, or complain about the economy, or complain about a sports team. It's kind of nice. Like we feel camaraderie and like shared with that anyway. So I think that's part of it too, just human nature.
Well, and isn't it funny? Speaking of that, Jake, isn't it interesting that like because of that, I actually get pretty self-conscious being the person in those conversations of being like, I actually think things like I actually kind of love my life. Like things are actually going really well.
That's what I'm saying. Like you don't want to be the odd person out.
Well, you feel weird.
Yeah, I come to Matt and I'm saying 4 things that I hate about the Utah Jazz right now, and he's like, you know what? I actually feel pretty good about the Jazz. You know, it's like, okay,
they're actually in a good spot. I love their future.
Yeah.
But I do always feel kind of weird, and I have a particular friend who makes fun of me all the time, and he gives me crap for this. Of like, man, you're always like it's almost like negative that I'm trying to be optimistic. And Morgan Housel has a quote on this, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but pessimism sounds smart. Pessimist sounds smart. Optimist sounds like they're selling you something,
or naive,
Yeah,
right? It's just naive.
or they're naive.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's almost like you're out of touch.
Mhm.
And so I think because of that, I'm kind of like, you don't want to share that. You're like, I feel pretty good about life, and I think everyone else is doing pretty well. But you feel kind of weird about that.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's not just me.
I think no, that's smart.
It's not just that's why I said I'm sick of people complaining.
Yeah, and then we come on this podcast, and all we do is complain about the people that are being
the people
pessimistic.
complaining about the people who are complaining. Yeah.
Here we are.
And then we feel closer.
And then we
create our
feel
own
exactly.
camaraderie.
Exactly. We
So
are
happy to be here with you guys. I'm so happy to be here.
We love getting pessimistic about all the pessimistic people.
Yes.
You idiots.
That's a perfect bow on it. Yeah, human nature is undefeated.
Human nature and time are both undefeated. Yes,
Yeah.
It's so true. Okay, any final thoughts on that, Victoria, Jake? I love that part.
That was really good.
Okay, Victoria, final topic here. We wanted to put you ladies first at the end. Is your HSA okay? What do you got? What do you got for us today?
I feel like my topic is so boring compared to like our life conversations.
Come on.
Now
I love
feel
HSAs. I'm riveted right now.
HSA is the best account in existence, by the way.
They really are. They
Although
really
Jake
are.
and I could fight about how to use an HSA.
Oh man, I want to hear this.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's so many takes. Anyways, I was scrolling around and I saw on Instagram that most HSAs are not invested.
Look,
and so
here's our fight.
Here we go. Hang
Here
on.
we go. We're gonna fight.
Keep your arms and hands. What do they say? I don't even know.
Keep your hands and arms inside the ride at all times.
At all times.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Thanks for the save. No, so I was trying to find some good stats on this, and I have seen this kind of in a really big range, but I'm going with Devenir. They are an HSA investment group, and they've been doing this ever since the HSA was born. Which, do you guys know how long they've been around? I actually didn't know this. How old is the HSA right now?
1995.
I was gonna say like late 80s.
You're both wrong, like pretty off, like very off.
What is it?
Yeah, she's celebrating her 20th birthday this year, you guys.
Newer.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2004 is when the HSA was born.
She's like, you're both pretty off, you
Pretty
idiots.
off. Yeah.
You're so dumb.
You did your research.
You call yourself financial planners? Oh my gosh.
No, we're like pessimists of the pessimists.
Yeah,
that's this trio.
Yes.
No, so from this group particularly, they said only 38% of all HSA assets are in investments. So meaning a good majority is just sitting in cash. And I saw another study that Schwab mentioned that said something like 88% is sitting in cash. So I don't know who to really believe. I'll just pull it from Devenir. So yeah, I thought that was pretty alarming.
But even if you cut that in the middle, let's say it's 50% are not invested.
Yeah.
Right. So this is where our fight begins.
Oh, okay.
Jake and I have different takes on this. Also, I just thought of this. You know what we should do? we should do part of a show or some segment, maybe once a month or once a while where we do a panel and the advisors at DA battle over specific concepts, because we do this in the office all the time.
Yeah,
We do.
And not in an aggressive way. Like, it's always fun.
Yeah.
And because I think, sorry, this is just a bit of a tangent for a second. I think people think like DA has like a methodology and approach to planning and to investing that we all believe in. But that doesn't mean that all of us here agree on every nuance of financial planning.
Right.
Like every single thing. We're not like this group think, where it's like we all just buy in, like we're not a cult, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have different opinions on different specific things. This is one of them that we're going to jump into here. But I think it'd be kind of fun if we did like a segment where we're always doing this in the office. Let's just come together on a panel and like
just press
throw out
record.
a topic and then just go.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think this speaks to the nature, though, of financial planning, right, though, Matt, which is it's not black and white and there's no one size fits all answer.
Yep.
And so that's why
science,
they have a job. So a lot of our job is not telling people, here's what you need to do. It's here are the 2 or 3 different options and here are the pros and cons of each of those and what fits best for your situation in your life, right? So that's why there can be discussion about how to do certain things or how to apply certain principles.
Yeah, it can be and should be.
Totally.
Yeah.
This is why shout out Taylor Setterfield, our guy, talks a lot about how general rule of thumb type advice you hear on stuff like this show or out there in the media is really sometimes detrimental because it's so much more nuanced than that. So anyway, sorry, tangent. But with that said, Jake, you want to battle
can
on
I
this?
say before our fight, one quick thing? I know we're just going on tangents here. I do think this is a problem with people just misunderstanding how investment accounts work. Though sometimes this can be it. I talk to a lot of people and I say, hey, what are you invested in? And they say, hey, I'm invested in my Roth IRA. I've been doing it for the past 5 years. I will then take a look at the Roth IRA accounts and I'll see they've been putting money in for 5 years, but it is sitting in cash.
Yeah.
And so they think it's growing. They think the IRA in and of itself is an investment. They did not realize they had to invest that money inside of that account, right? It just holds it.
Right.
I think that could be part of what's happening here with the HSA too, right? Where it's people are like, oh yeah, I put my money in and it should be growing for me, but they didn't realize there was another step they needed to take action on to actually invest that money. So just like investment principle there, I think is important for people to understand.
We're starting off agreeing, so this is not a great fight because that's exactly what I was going to say is I think most of this has to do with, I bet most people don't realize they can even invest their HSA.
Yeah.
Or they, to Jake's point, they think they are, but they're actually not. They're putting money in. It's just sitting in cash. And then they're like, what the heck? I thought it was invested. It's like, no, that's the next step.
Well, and I kind of wonder too if because the nature of the investment account is for healthcare costs, that people are less inclined to invest it because they're like, what if I need it?
Yep.
And so I could see that too. But I want you two to fight now, please.
Well, Matt, give us just that
we built this up.
It's not that big of a fight.
It's too much.
It's not going to
get into it.
Matt, you just give us the breakdown of what an HSA is quickly and how most people use it. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, totally. So HSA, born in 2004, it's going on its 20th birthday. I knew that.
Like the 80s.
The 80s. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I thought you said my birthday. I thought you said, well, how long have I been alive?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. So HSA is an account specifically connected to a specific healthcare plan. So pretty straightforward. You have to have an HSA designated high deductible plan. And this is something that's sometimes confused with people. Like when whoever you get your insurance through, whether it be private, whether it be state exchange or whatever, it will indicate on that it's an HSA eligible plan. Like they will tell you that. Once you have an HSA eligible plan, and all this is a health savings account. It's an account you can invest or you can put money in. You get a deduction. And then that money can then be used for healthcare related costs. And they're actually pretty loose with what that means. It is the only account in existence that is triple tax. It has triple tax benefits. So you put the money in, it is tax deductible. There is no income limit as far as I know, right? No income limit. So you put money in, it is tax deductible. That money grows tax free. And then the money is removed tax free as long as you are using it for designated healthcare benefits.
Yeah.
So that's a health savings account attached to. There is a contribution limit. I believe this year 7,700 and something.
It's 8,300 for a family.
Oh,
8,300 for a family.
For 2024. Okay.
Half of that for single.
Half of that for a single. So 8,300 if you're a family, half of that if you're a single.
And so because this account is super cool, right, Matt, what some people do is like, hey, I can try and take advantage of this in the sense I'm going to put money into my HSA, I'm going to invest it, and I'm going to treat this essentially like an additional IRA, right, where it's like I'll pay for all my medical costs just out of pocket. I want this account to grow for 20, 30 years. And then some people will do this thing where they save receipts, like you can reimburse yourself for past medical expenses. So it's like, I'm going to reimburse myself in the future. I tend to think once you get into retirement, you're probably going to have plenty of health related costs anyway. You could probably just use it for those things that tend to grow at that time of life anyway. But there's also another cool thing about this account where after you reach the age 65, you can then take out your money for like health related costs, just normal distributions from the account, and just have to pay ordinary income tax.
It turns into an
switches
IRA.
to an IRA once you're 65. And so a strategy people will have is, I'm going to invest this money. I'm not going to take it out for health related costs. And I'm just going to have this grow for 20 to 30 years and use it as another retirement account as a strategy.
Which I love this strategy.
Yeah.
Jake is not so convinced.
I am just the person. Yeah. I have an HSA. I contribute to one, and I use it for my health insurance costs right now. Not health insurance, but health. Costs that I have for my kids, health related costs. I just use it now. I'm not super concerned about the long term growth and different things like that. I just use it now. I feel like it's a big boost I don't have to, something comes up, kid breaks his arm, whatever happens, which is, again, I have 2 twin boys. That's going to be my future, a lot of broken bones. I just want to use that money for those things just so I don't have to come out of pocket. And I feel like it's like, I'm going to have to pay for health costs at some point anyway. I like other types of investment accounts. I just don't feel like I need to do the whole reimbursement thing, 30-year investment deal anyway.
Yep.
Victoria, not that heated of a debate, but
it's
I haven't started yelling yet. Just wait.
You wait.
Just you wait. No. I again, this is a great example of like there is no right answer here. This is not a hard science. This is not like 2 + 2 = 4. This is so personal to every single person. I tend to love this strategy for the right person, right? For the right person, someone who has high cash flow. A lot of dentists we work with, who has high liquidity, who has the ability to pay for healthcare costs out of their pocket in their healthiest years. So obviously I tell people, like, if you have a generally healthy situation and you don't think you're going to be using this, like there's no reason to believe you're going to be using this outside of like normal copays and checkups and whatever. In my opinion, if you have a situation this makes sense, again, cash flow, liquidity, all of this, pay for the out of pocket, invest this money, take advantage of the triple tax benefits, right? That is monumental over 30 year period. And then the average 65-year-old couple spends between $250,000 and $300,000 in retirement just on healthcare.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my take as from a planning perspective is just, hey, if you have this account and you grow this for the next 25, 30 years, the way you're optimizing on those taxes, you are easily going to have that amount of money to reduce a massive amount of stress in your life in retirement. If you have, several $100,000 sitting there, they can come out tax free in retirement.
Yeah.
That's my take generally. I don't love, like, to your point, Jake, the reimbursement strategy and keeping a spreadsheet and all, like, you don't have to go that far. Just invest your money. This is my take for people. If you fit this profile, invest your money in an HSA, take advantage of it. It's another $8,000 you can deduct from your taxes, and then have this later on in retirement. So again, we're not having this massive fight we built up, but that tends to be my take.
I was really anti-galactic.
I know.
I was so excited. I
know.
heard you two bicker about this.
We don't bicker much.
Well, I think the office would say otherwise. Hot take, Jake. Come on now.
Yeah, I like to throw out a spicy take. Yeah, I would just say to that, it's like I think using my HSA funds right now relieves a lot of stress in my life, and I'm still getting the triple tax benefit. So it's like I'm just not super worried about down the road.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Jake's like, I'm living for today. I don't even care. Yeah. Victoria, any final thoughts? I mean, this is your topic. We commandeered your topic.
We hijacked it. Yeah.
Yeah. No. This is great. I agree. I think if you can take full advantage of the triple tax benefits over the long term, it's an amazing strategy. But don't do it at the cost of going into credit card debt to pay off a medical expense. You know what I mean? Or putting yourself in a position of really low liquidity to be able to pay a medical expense. You definitely want to strike a balance of, let's take as much advantage of this as we can, but not at the sake of putting ourselves in a bad position. So
totally.
And you can do both too, right? Like at least I hope not. Most years I'm not using $8,000 for medical costing. So if you max out your HSA, maybe use some of it for health costs, and then the other portion can still grow and still utilize that strategy. So
totally. Yeah. And that's a great point, Victoria. The right profile matters. Like if you can't, none of us would ever advocate for going into credit card debt or using your emergency fund over an HSA. So again, you have to have a profile that makes sense.
Well, and that line of thought applies to almost every recommendation that we have, right? If you're not in a position to max out your 401k, while that is the best thing for your financial future, it was probably to max out your 401k every year. Don't do it if one, you're going to be super unhappy right now and it's going to send you into credit card debt. You know what I mean? So that's
if you're living airport to airport, you probably shouldn't. I love that.
That's just, I think that's important to keep in mind, just because a certain account type or strategy has the potential to give you a lot of benefits does not mean you should try to go for the max benefits if it's going to be too expensive in the present.
Yep, totally agree. Love it. Any final words, my people? No? Okay.
No.
Okay.
This was great.
Yeah, hopefully if you're still listening, that means you didn't turn this off the second you heard Robbie was not here.
Yeah.
So we thank you. We love you for doing that. I know the Kroger version of Robbie gave you hopefully some great value for a much lower price, but definitely not as high quality. So that's just, here we are.
You're like the Amazon dupe of Robbie today.
I duped you guys. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Jake, Victoria, thank you so much for being here. If you hear this, if you want to talk to us, if you want to tell us your story, see how we can help, please go to dentistadvisors.com, click on the yellow button that says book free consultation. We love talking to dentists. We talk to hundreds of dentists every single year. And oftentimes, again, it's just tell us your story. This could be anything from us just giving you a couple pieces of advice, pointing in the right direction, all the way over to telling you or talking about how we can maybe work together. But if you're curious at all, if you're out there thinking, you know what, I've been listening to these people, I haven't turned them off yet. I want to talk to them and see how they can help. Just push the button. Set up a consultation. We're really nice. We love talking to people. So dentistadvisors.com. Again, Jake, Victoria, thank you so much for listening. That was our 2 cents. As always, have a great weekend. Bye-bye now.